I always knew I wanted to nurse Griffin for 2 years. That's what the WHO and the AAFP recommend. But I also knew I did not want to be pregnant and nursing. And in this video, I will show you how I weaned Griffin without much drama. Now first, let me just say that there are many moms that nurse when they're pregnant and it works out great. There's also moms that tandem nurse, which means once they have their newborn, they nurse them as well as their older child. And that's great if that works for them. I just knew this was not for me. Physically, emotionally, and spiritually, I needed to be done, and I really wanted to focus on the baby growing inside of me. So right around Griffin's 2nd birthday, I started the weaning process, and here are the steps I took. The first step is to create a replacement. Now, I remember when I gave up Diet Coke over 14 years ago. I was a 6-pack a day drinker, right? I loved the whole ritual of it, the crack of the can, the fizz down my throat, that little caffeine kick. So all of a sudden to rip that away from me would be traumatizing. I knew I had to create some kind of replacement ritual in order to do it. So what I did is I got a really pretty water bottle and I'd fill it up with ice and lemon, and each day I'd have this goal of drinking 8 cups a day. Well, you know what? Before long, I found myself loving this and actually craving the water. So I knew I had to do the same thing with Griffin and nursing. So what I did is I created this drink, and in our family we call it hot tea. And what it is raw milk, or you can use whole organic milk, raw honey, and a dash of sea salt. And then what you want to do is warm it. So it just becomes really tasty and comforting. In fact, in our house we have an espresso maker, so I actually steam the milk and get it all frothy, and it's delicious. Now you do have to use a little bit of reverse psychology in order to get them really enticed about this drink. So what I did is I would just make it for myself and sip it and say, "Ooh, this is so good." And then Griffin would be so intrigued and he wanted sips of it, so I would let him try it, and he loved it. And if you think about it, it probably kind of tastes like breast milk. Anyways, after a while, finally one day I said, "Griffin, do you want your own hot tea?" And he was thrilled. But then I said, "Griffin, do you want hot tea or nummies?" And he chose the hot tea. So I made him one, put it in a sippy cup. We went upstairs and I did the whole nap time routine, which is reading stories. He drank the hot tea, and then I just put him in his crib and he did not say a word about nursing. It was awesome. So my recommendation is find a drink that your kid will love, whether it's the hot tea drink or smoothies or sweetened kefir, or even, milkshakes can be healthy if you put them in the right ingredients in there. Find a replacement for that breast milk as your way to start the weaning process. The second tip is limit your nursing sessions. Now at a certain point, Griffin caught on to the fact that he wasn't nursing when I put him down for a nap. So sometimes when I was just about to put him in the crib, he would be like, "No, I want nummies," and he would cry. Now sometimes I tried just to distract him, rub his back, sing to him, something like that, but sometimes I caved. So I would pick him up and I would nurse him, but I would start to put a time limit on it. And it really worked well because he was already so full from the hot tea that he didn't really need the milk per se. And so I would do about a minute on one side and then just put him right back down, and that satisfied that desire. Now some moms sing a little song, and then once the song is over, their child is done nursing. Other moms say a minute at each boob. Find what works for you, but the important thing is for the child to see that their days of just unlimited access at the breast are numbered. My third tip is go slowly. If you think about it, our children have been nursing for a long time. For Griffin, it was 2 years of his life. So I just wanted to make the process really gentle. So Griffin still nursed first thing in the morning, and right before he went to bed, I only weaned that nap time nursing session, and I left it at that for weeks. I wanted him to really get adjusted to the idea of not nursing. And guess what? It's a lot better for mama because then she doesn't deal with any engorgement issues. Now overall, it took me 6 months to wean Griffin, but it certainly did not have to take that long. I could have easily done it in 3 months. With some kids, you could do it in 2 months. My fourth tip is get daddy or others involved. At a certain point, it is nice to have some people to kind of block and tackle as you're trying to wean. So I really needed Mike's help with that nighttime and the morning nursing sessions. So Mike basically took over. Now we did it in a way that Griffin felt like I was part of it. So I would go upstairs with Mike. We would do the whole bedtime, the cleaning up, the brush the teeth, getting the jammies, all that together as a family. I would hug and kiss Griffin. But then for that final time where there's books being read and usually a nursing session, Mike took over and he had the hot tea. So Griffin was happy. And then we did the same thing in the morning a couple weeks later, because first we wanted to get Griffin adjusted to that, but a couple weeks later, Mike started going into Griffin's room in the morning and he had the hot tea, and they had a wonderful time just hanging out, playing, that sort of thing. Now keep in mind, this doesn't go on forever, so dad's not always going to have to be doing everything for the kid. It really only was about maybe 2 or 3 weeks, and then I could take over, and Griffin didn't expect to nurse, and it worked out fine. Now again, there were times that I caved because he wanted nursing, or he really was upset because he wanted to, and I did. But the important thing is just to stay consistent, and eventually they just get it and they don't ask for, nummies anymore. Now for parents that are co-sleepers, it can be a little bit trickier. So what I would recommend is actually weaning those nighttime, like in the middle of the nighttime nursing sessions first. And the way you can do it again is getting daddy involved. Instead of having the baby sleep near you, put the baby near daddy so that that kind of doesn't create that urge in the middle of the night. And also tell your child, you know what? You're going night-night, mommy's going night-night, and boobies are going night-night, and we'll see them in the morning. And then you can work on the daytime nursing routine. My fifth and final tip is make the decision to wean. I know that sounds weird, but basically Griffin was weaned at like 3 months, but I wasn't ready to fully let it go. Because what would happen was he would get hurt or he'd get sick, and I'd be like, oh, I want to nurse him. And I would, because I wanted to give him comfort and to, have that connection. So after a couple of months, we were basically at this place where he was nursing every 2 or 3 days, which I was like, that's fine. I mean, it wasn't a big deal, But the truth is that can actually go on for like years. I've talked to moms that that's the case. And, because the truth is deep down inside, I love the idea of Griffin choosing when he wanted to wean, not me. And I think that's actually the most beautiful way. So if you can do that, go for it. I think that's awesome. But it wasn't until I got pregnant that things really changed for me. And what happened was he would nurse, and without fail, within 24 hours, I would get uterine contractions. Now, I don't know if you guys know this, but nipple stimulation can actually cause that. So that was kind of like a wake-up call for me, like, whoa, I really don't want to be doing this simultaneously. And that's when I really made the decision that I wanted to be done. And then it was easy peasy, like literally like 2 days. Like if anything happened, I would just dig deep and find other ways to comfort him. And the big one I discovered was foot massages, which was so cute. And it actually was really beautiful because I used to always nurse Griffin before he went down for bed. And that was the time I would pray for him because it was kind of this quiet and stillness, and I love that ritual. Well, now I found a new way to do that. So what I still do is I put him down and then I rub his feet while he's laying in his crib for like 5 or 10 minutes, and I get to pray for him. So it keeps that connection for me. So there you have it, the steps I took to wean my toddler. Would love to hear from you. How did your weaning process go? Did your child do it? Did you do it? Was it painful? Was it easy? Share with us in the comments below. And thanks for tuning in.